Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Low Key Lost, the season finale of Insecure season 4. And it was a lot. It was a very heavy episode. And we're going to be talking about this with my other boss chick, Teresa.
Hey
So what's up,
guys.
girl? So me and Teresa went to high school together, and we watched the same stuff. We be having the same, you know, opinion on things. But let's go ahead and get into this because this was a lot. I have a lot to talk about. So first of all, just the name Low Key Lost. I feel like it meant several things. So like not just Tiffany being physically lost, but she was emotionally lost. Derek was lost, kind of emotionally looking for Tiffany and trying to figure out how to help her with her postpartum depression, which I think we'll need to talk about like in its own right, because that's a big issue that I think a lot of Black women don't really address. Like people like, oh my gosh, you're so moody or whatever. And it's kind of like they almost associate it with just being Black. You're kind of like bossy, have a little saucy attitude. But a lot of times it could be something deeper going on. So we'll talk about that too.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
also with Issa being lost in her relationship journey, which I think we both kind of knew like she was going to end up being lost in that regard because it was just going
Yeah.
too good. It was going too good. And Lawrence, first of all, I just got to say, Lawrence is a liar.
Okay, no.
He's a
Wait.
liar.
I'm
He's
T.
a liar.
Lawrence.
And I'm going to keep saying it all episode because he's a liar. He's a liar. And Molly has lost her mind. So that's another person that's lost. And Latoya is still lost. I'm upset because they literally did not talk about Latoya. And I was like, okay, we're going to at least find out where she at, get some clues, something. And it was like, it
Oh.
basically was like Andrew got mad because he couldn't watch the show, and then that was it. But,
Mhm.
we'll get into all of that. But let's start with Lawrence. Let's talk about Lawrence first because he gets on my nerves, girl. I mean, we
No.
already kind of
I'm Team Lawrence all day, every
You
day.
what? You team Lawrence?
I'm Team Lawrence. I
Why are you
absolutely
team
love.
Lawrence? Why?
I like Lawrence because Lawrence shows you what true progress looks like. And as Black Americans, period, we're always progressing, we're always evolving, we're always figuring it out. They were in their 20s when they broke up. And honestly, your 20s, you're navigating life, and in your 30s, you're figuring things out. So I feel like he had the greatest intentions with Issa, but unfortunately, because of his past decisions, like his most recent decisions, that led him now down a different path. But I don't think Lawrence is a liar. I think he has every intention to do the right thing by Issa. Now, Nathan, I think Nathan is a liar.
I think Nathan is actually the more truthful person. We got a completely different
No,
feel about this. Let me tell you why Lawrence is a liar. Lawrence is a liar because he knew Condola was pregnant before he went on that date with Issa. He knew when
you
he
think
went to that
so?
baby, because you had even mentioned it when he went to that baby event. He was talking to Derek. He's like, they talk about fatherhood. He's asking questions, and like Lawrence's face was kind of like cracked, kind of like when Derek was saying, like, man, it's hard. Like, this stuff is crazy. Like, you think about all the girls that you didn't kind of messed over, and then, that's somebody's daughter, and then I got a daughter. And, like, the way Lawrence was kind of taking in that info, you could kind of tell it was a deeper thing kind of going on. Like, oh, shoot, I'm about to be a dad, too. So,
I think
that's what I
Lawrence
feel.
then, I don't know personally, like I think when his face changed when he was talking with Derek about the baby, I think that's like,
Mhm.
that's when he realized that's something that he always wanted. Because at that time, Condola and him had just really broken up. That was the episode after they broken up at Friendsgiving, technically. Or you knew that they were in a murky,
Right.
uh, lane or whatever. So then I think when he did that, he was like, dang, I kind of just lost that with Condola because she basically told me she doesn't want marriage. And Lawrence wants to do it the traditional way. I feel like Lawrence wants to have the marriage and then the kids. I think he wants to do it the way
Right.
his dad and his mom did it. He's very traditional.
I
So
think
when that happened, I think he was like, wow, I don't have that with Condola.
hmm I think that and that's something else that I kind of wrote down too, was just I did not like his response to the news that he is going to be a father, even though I low-key think Condola is lying, but we'll get into that later. I think that whole thing, like, oh, you're not gonna have it, are you? Like, that whole mentality really pushed me into being like, Lawrence is dirty. Like, Issa deserves better than this. You know, he talked about, oh, you know, I thought we was careful. You're not careful if you are actually ejaculating into somebody. Like, the risk of pregnancy is there every time you don't protect yourself. And so for him to say that, and kind of like, it just made me mad. I was like so over Lawrence, and I was so happy, honestly, that Issa was like, nah, I don't think I can roll with you like that if you got a baby. Like, I don't think that's gonna work. Because honestly, I feel like that is someone who has standards. Because no, it's too much.
Well, no,
like
I think honestly, I think Lawrence actually asked the questions. He asked those tough questions that a lot of men would ask a woman if they're not really in love with her or they're not in a current situation. And I think his just came from a place of, we're not even together. I don't think it necessarily was a selfish thing. I think it was just confirmation that, hey, you know, or you do understand that we're broken up, we're not getting back together. Like, by him asking those questions, you can tell they had truly shut that door of them being together. Because he was like, are you sure this is just not a good time? I did have that cringe-worthy feeling when he asked Condola, are you sure it's mine? Because I feel like that's like the number one question that a male would ask a female that he's involved with, especially if they're not together, is it my child? So I kind of cringed on that part, but it's real. Like, those are the type of questions that, unfortunately, when you're not together with a person, those questions get asked.
You know, and that too was something else, is like, is it mine? Like, why does it always be assumed that it's not? Which, I mean, with Condola, she do seem kind of sneaky, so maybe you would ask that. But I feel like that's almost an immediate reaction to, you know, men just in general being told that, oh, you know, I'm pregnant. And they're like, you sure it's mine? It's like, really? Like, I hate when that's the first reaction. And it really just kind of shows to me the character of the man, because to me, someone with better character would be like, wow, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, just more excited, or at least like, okay, you know, what can I do? Like, being more at least of like, hey, I'm gonna support you through this, versus being like, nah, like, you sure this even mine? Like, whatever, you've been running around here in these streets.
Right. But just to interject real quick, I think the only reason why he had to ask that question, are you sure it's mine, is because when he was at Friendsgiving, the drunk friend that came into the kitchen, gave him the idea that Condola is just really getting out there, getting her feet wet, having a good time. So to his defense, and also he thought they were going towards a certain path of seriousness. She wasn't even about to invite this guy to Thanksgiving. So for all she knows, how does he know if she's not messing with somebody else?
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with that.
So
yeah.
But I see what you're saying. It's hard because it's like, you just like, don't ask that question, because it's like, but it's almost like he had to in a way, because he's like, well, I kind of got the idea I wasn't the only one, or at least we weren't on the same page when moving in the right direction that you wanted to go into.
Honestly, you know, I kind of feel like I'm still kind of not even completely convinced that he was going to San Francisco for this job opportunity. Like, to me, Lawrence cannot be trusted. Like, and that's just me. Like, he just kind of has that kind of slick, kind of even look to him. Like, I don't know.
You just do not like Lawrence.
I don't. Little squinty eyes, lying about, and he be lying. Like, okay, for example, when they were at the baby event or whatever, okay, it's not a baby shower, but whatever, when the baby was there, and they're helping Tiffany out and stuff. He was like, when Issa came back, like, hey, you want to tell me something? What's up? He's like, oh, no, nothing. But he's a liar. He be lying too much for me. Like, Issa, I appreciate the fact, like, 'cause she used to be lying like that too. But she was like, I just want to be honest about this stuff and stuff. And I feel like Issa really has kind of become from insecure to being very secure in who she is, which is why she was like, nah, I ain't really trying to prove you like that. If you got a baby, I have to think about this. Because he cannot be trusted. He's a liar still. And I think the reason why he invited her to that dinner in the Low Key Happy episode was because he was gonna tell her then that, he has a baby on the way, but he's a liar, so he couldn't say it. So he kind of asked a question like, well, what do you think we could have made it or whatever? And then it just kind of went, the way it did. But Lawrence is I'm not feeling him.
Well, I think Lawrence is better of a man than Nathan. Like, I think even though like Nathan tried to take the
just because he ghosted.
Yes, because for you to ghost a person, like, that is just the most millennial, like, cowardish thing that you could possibly do to a person. You excuse yourself and say, hey, if anything, he could have said, hey, I'm heading to Texas, I got to handle a family matter. He could have said that. But completely just disappearing out of somebody's life and then reappearing because it's convenient for you, no, we're not doing that. I mean, I wish you well in your mental health journey, because that stuff is real, but I feel like he took a coward move. And now everybody's trying to be on Nathan's side because he came back and he's doing it the hard way. Well, you shouldn't have did it to begin with.
I mean,
that's just not a real man.
When you got mental illness, like reasonable, rational decisions and actions don't really come to you like that. Because I have people who I've even worked with that mental illness, and you'd be like, why did you do that? And they'd be like, I don't know. Like they literally be like, I had not even thought about that. So I feel like, you don't ghost, but then also, how men are their ego is very fragile. And so to be honest about, hey, I got mental health problems, a lot of people don't want to even fool with you after they realize that. They're like, oh, you might blow up on me, or you might, what I'm saying? It's a stigma. And so a lot of times people don't even want to say what's really going on until, it then kind of went.
But he didn't have to say it. I think he could have framed it in a way like, hey, I'm heading to, even if he said, hey, I'm heading to Texas to handle family issues, that's better than nothing and leaving her completely out there. Because I think now he's trying to wiggle his way back. And it's like, you really don't deserve a place here because you left you left by your own free will the first time, so mental illness is real. And I understand what you're saying, that sometimes you're not making the most rational decisions, but he could have just left that and be like, look, I got to handle some stuff, instead of just like leaving her out there in the cold. Lawrence has never done that to Issa. I don't think he has. He has left her out there a little bit, but she knew that it was from him still dealing and processing what had happened in season 1 of her cheating. So I understand that. That's understandable. But I don't think Lawrence has ever not been forthcoming with his feelings towards Issa, about certain stuff.
I think, I don't know. I still don't think he's forthcoming.
I know. We just gotta agree.
We just don't agree, girl. But
we gotta agree to disagree. I'm Team Lawrence.
And I think Condola is a liar too. So that's why I think they deserve each other, and Issa deserves something better. So like, both of them liars need to lie together because they're not worthy. So we're talking about not worthy, girl. What about Molly? What did you feel like with her character? What happened? What was your thoughts?
I'll be honest with Molly. I feel like Molly almost needs to she's one of those hard-head people that she has to hit her head in order to truly get the lesson. Yes. And I think it's already been paved for her, but she just keeps making the same mistakes. She's overbearing. She's controlling. She wants it her way. And I think this right now, her showing how close she could be to an actual relationship with a decent guy who was really willing to try with her. The fact that he came to her and basically told her straight up, this is why I'm not happy. Now I hope this will give her time to do her own healing and figure out, why does she hold these grudges? Why can't she not let go? Why does she have to control everything? Yeah. And I think her cultivating her relationship with Issa looks like it's going in that way, I hope. Now she'll see like, wow, I didn't even nurture that relationship the way I should have.
How did you feel? Because, everyone was mad at Molly at the end of Low Key Trying. Did you feel more sympathy towards her, like, at the end of this episode?
I feel more, it's like tough love. I'm like, I see you girl trying, but you needed this lesson to get there. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I'm like empathetic, but I'm not sympathetic towards her.
Mm-hmm.
Is, you know, I don't really have much sympathy. She has to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Issa has done the work. Her face
Yeah,
has gotten cracked.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
She's been knocked on her butt with her job, not progressing in that, like being there, but she couldn't get out in the field that we got y'all, seeing everybody else go and do what they wanted to do. Issa has had to always take the back seat. And Molly, she just kind of moves people out the way to claim her seat. But in that process, she has burned a lot of bridges. Her and Torian will never be the same, ever, you know. So I feel like Molly has to finally get her face cracked in order to feel humility the same way Issa has had to feel.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know?
The way it ended, I think it was trying to get you to feel like, okay, Molly has learned her lesson and she's whatever. But honestly, to me, I don't know who is worse, Lawrence or Molly, when it comes to Issa and her relationships, because both of them are kind of like not forthcoming in their relationship with her. And so I still just, I feel like Molly, I feel like I was actually a little bit upset, just a little bit, that, at the end, that's who Issa was like, hey, because I was thinking it was Nate or somebody else, that,
Mm-hmm.
I was really thinking it was Nate. I really was. I was thinking it was like, oh, because Lawrence is going to be out the picture because he got this girl pregnant, because we already kind of knew
Right.
that was going that way. And so I was like, oh, okay, so she going to, go in there and see what's up with him. And so I was a little bit like, oh, okay, she's back trying with Molly. And it's like, Molly doesn't cry. And to be honest with you, I never, if you really go all the way back to the first season, Molly
Mm-hmm.
is the real reason why Lawrence and Issa are not even together, because she was planting them seeds in her head, like, girl, he needs to get a job, blah, 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 and like kind of really putting those seeds in her head, like, you can do better than this, you shouldn't even be with him, or, go find somebody better. And so that's why
No.
I'm not feeling Molly like that still. Like, she's gonna learn, I hope, to be a better person, but
Mm-hmm.
I would like it better if Issa really kind of found, she can't find somebody else because it's a show, but in real life, I would be like, girl, you need to find some new friends. But I know it can't happen because it's a show and everybody has to, you gotta,
Right. It's got to be some drama.
right.
But to piggyback off your comment with Molly first season, honestly, Molly just kind of, she wanted Issa. If anything, Molly likes when Issa, or I wouldn't say she likes it, she's always looking for Issa to follow through with what she says. And season one, Issa was always talking about how she wasn't happy with Lawrence and this, that, and the other. Molly's thing was, well, girl, you see me crying tears of single life over here. Like, what are you going to do? Or like Issa would be like, oh, I left and I told him that I'm going to stay the night with you. Molly would always be like, okay, so does that mean that y'all breaking up or not? Like, she always wanted her to follow through. And when Daniel came through to that, it was like career day or something, Molly kind of convicted Issa. She was just like, well, why is Daniel here? I thought you and Lawrence were good. So I think Molly's always checked Issa. I just think she always wants Issa to support what she's saying, like always back it up and follow through with her decision. So I don't think she really planted seeds bad towards Lawrence. I think she just always wanted Issa to say, look, if you're done, be done. If you're going to stick in there, stick in there. She always wanted her to feel that she had some certainty when it came to her relationship or her career or whatever. So I don't think she planted bad seeds towards Lawrence,
I
because
think
she even went
it
out.
planted that seed, and I mean, obviously, Issa gave it the water and everything for it to grow. But I definitely
Yeah.
think that, it wasn't very encouraging. Like, well, give him, more time, or da 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 da. Which, I
No,
mean,
she wasn't encouraging,
honestly, that whole
but she wasn't
situation was
discouraging
messed
either.
up. Like that, that's a difficult one, because when you got a man that's laid up on the couch, y'all kind of financially struggling. And I mean, I guess he was looking for jobs. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
out here to get jobs. Like, that is true, especially when you are a man of color. I've seen, stuff like that happen. So I understand that, but at the same time, Uber is still around. Sometimes you got to just do stuff that you don't want to do just so you can kind of get yourself from underwater, you know, and the fact that he wasn't trying to do that. Like, I understand that whole thing of I want to work in my field and this is my, you know, your passion. I get that completely. Like, that is for real. But when you kind of financially struggling, you see Issa, or he should have been seeing how she wasn't happy. And that's another thing, like, a lot of times people don't see people for what's really going on. I think that's what was happening with Tiffany and Derek, is that he just wasn't seeing what was really going on. Or maybe he just didn't know how to fix what was really going on. Yeah, definitely. But you know what was funny was, so Andrew was like always bending and bowing for Molly and what she wanted to do in her plans. And then so he was doing that all up to that point where she was like, you can't watch LaToya without me. And he was like, you know what, B, we're gonna have to have this talk. Like, I'm not about to not watch this show because you don't want me to watch it.
Because you don't
and
want
that
to.
was the blow up. That was literally like the explosion that made the whole thing come down, was that LaToya being lost. And I was dying rolling when I was watching it. I was like, see, she done messed up. Like, if she had to just reach in bed and say, okay, well, I'll watch it later, they wouldn't even have to have that conversation. But that LaToya got it started, girl.
Most big arguments that honestly that end up as blow-ups is usually not just that. It's something deeper. And actually, it was just a trigger. Like, man, I'm tired of waiting on you to watch this show, to go out, to do this. So yeah, if she
like,
just said, okay, let's watch it.
I'm done. And then it was like, after, you know, the whole thing with Tiffany and she went out and tried to help him, she came back trying to have that conversation. Andrew still didn't feel like he wanted to try with her. Like, he literally was done after that LaToya episode.
Yep. He said, oh, they didn't find LaToya, so you ain't finding this relationship.
Right? Like, girl, like, what do you want? Because I don't even, like, honestly, his question, well, she didn't answer, you know, is this what you really want? Do you think it's what she wants, or what do you think she answered? Because they kind of cut to the next scene, so you didn't get to see what Molly said.
I don't know. I kind of struggle with that myself too. I was just like, dang, like, is she crying because it's not really what she wants, or I don't know.
I think Molly is in love with the idea of having a man on her arm, but she's somebody who I think is gifted to be single. And I say that because I feel like marriage, like in the Bible, it says like marriage is a gift, stuff is a gift. And I feel like she's actually gifted to be single, but she wants to kind of fit in or be like her friends or have relationships and stuff like that. And so I think that's why she was crying, because like she was kind of seeing, number one, that she is kind of like very selfish and like that's very toxic for relationships if you're seeing like her flaws. But then I also think she was saying that, well, maybe I'm not relationship material.
And I also think, like, I felt like this season a lot, she always made it a point to say how much this is the longest relationship she's been in.
Right.
She's never had to figure out how to combine work and relationship together. So I think you're right with that sense. I think she's like, wow, I really wanted a relationship, but I did not realize it's going to be this much work to juggle friendships and a career and a man. Like, she basically lost a good friend. I feel like she kind of lost Issa because she replaced her with Andrew. I think so.
I think that's what it is. And honestly, you know, when she got asked that question, she didn't answer it. I thought back to her response to Issa, the previous episode, where she's like, you know, maybe we're just not pieces that fit together anymore. And I was like, that's basically the answer to this question, that I feel like her and Andrew are not pieces that fit anymore. And so, you know, she kind of, I guess, predicted her own
phase.
Right.
But Molly shows you she can't juggle it all. She can't have a friendship and a man and a career. She has to learn how to balance it, because she always wants everything to look as it should be. Like, she always feels like it should look this way. But reality of the situation, if you got friends, a husband or a boyfriend and a career and kids or whatever you're you have to find a way to time manage it all if you want to keep those relationships strong.
Right.
So I think she needs to sit this one out and just honestly, she needs to keep going to Dr. What's her name, Dr. Rhonda or Yolanda?
Yes.
She needs to keep going to her.
She definitely go to that therapist. And then it was like, even when you think about how she was so mad at her dad about how he cheated on her mom, I was just like, girl, this was not your relation. Like, I understand you're disappointed, but like to be acting that broke up, like it was her that he had cheated on. I'm like, girl, you too extra. Like, you're so extreme.
Mm-hmm. And not to keep going back, but one quick thing, I didn't understand. Do you think that in her mind, her dealing with her anger of her dad cheating on her mom is why she decided to start a relationship with Dro? Granted, he was married and in an open relationship.
Before she started the relationship with Dro? I feel like
she knew that Dro had told her that they were him and his wife were in an open relationship. And Dro was actually at the party that she found out her dad had cheated on her mom. And she left that night with Dro and they began their situationship. So I wonder, was that kind of like, acting out per se? Like, oh, my dad did it, so I don't know. That was kind of weird. Like,
that could be it. I think that could be it. But I do think that they did have a good chemistry, but
they did.
Because the timing was wrong. And I think that's something that people deal with a lot, is that like you may meet somebody who y'all like click with, you like, man, like this person is, I love being around them, but relationship wise or just timing wise, like it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? They may be already married, or you may be already married, or whatever the situation is, like y'all being together just is not possible. And so you kind of have to learn how to deal with that, because that does happen a lot, where you're like, and then I think a lot of people fall into that trap where they're like, well, I'm gonna just try it and we just gonna live in the moment, and because the timing and the situation is not right, it end up causing like major problems.
Heartache. It's like another heart, like you get your face cracked because you come to this realization, like, I don't know, like maybe you get your hopes up and you're like, dang, I knew it's done. Like Erykah Badu, I'll see you next lifetime. She was like, I'm not even going down that road with you.
That's the song I was thinking of too. Yeah.
She was like, I'm not going down that road. She was like, you're like, we would be good together, but I only belong to one person. I can't belong to you. So she was like, I'll see you next lifetime. So it's like, gives you that hope, like, dang, maybe we'll meet in another life. I don't know.
Or maybe, the situation will change later on in this lifetime. Like, you never know. But
you never know.
Yeah, you gotta make the most logical decision when it comes to that. But I was thinking about, I'm not gonna say the name since we're gonna be on YouTube, but there is a couple of friends of ours that to me kind of remind me of this situation. I think we talked about it before, but as I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, Molly, she's like super extra with Issa, and then like her and Andrew's relationship, and I was like, maybe Molly is gay and she's in love with Issa.
No, I don't
know, because I'm just like, no, because seriously, the way she reacted to Issa was so, it didn't even make any sense. Like her finding a way to get the artist for her block party, it never should have went that extreme. And so it was kind of like Molly was like, wow, like she act like she don't need me. And I think it was more, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that this is, but it could be that she is literally in love with Issa. Maybe it's not a sexual attraction, but I think it's something where it's like she is in love with her. Like she has to have, be the save. I'm gonna save Issa. I have to do this for Issa.
I think that's there. I think the nurturing. I think Molly has a very strong nurturing side to her. Like she has been used to coddling Issa a little bit, like helping her work through it and always being a place she could crash or whatever.
But
like
she just
here or there.
Too much. Like even like, cause me and my cousin was talking about this. I'm like, Molly is too much, and I'm like, I'm not feeling her, because when she stopped Nate from coming to Issa's birthday party, I was just like, I understand that you don't want her to get all into her emotions again, but that's literally like you're out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? Like that is not your decision to make. Like you should have been like, hey, Issa, you do want him in here? Like I can, get rid of him, but he is
Right.
here. I don't know if you want to see him. Like that to me would have been a more appropriate response to her to be like, nah, you gotta get out. Like she is basically her dude or something. Like it was just, and then she don't like Daniel. I don't know. It's just like it's weird to me. I think
Yeah.
something is obviously we know something's wrong with her, but it could be deeper than what we think it is.
It could be. I don't think she's bisexual or gay, but like I think she's just used to Issa needing her for everything. And for once, Issa was like, no, I got it. I got this figured out. So, and I just think, but we'll see down the line, like, because now they're about to have this talk. Maybe some stuff is about to come out that got swept under the rug from years ago that explains why Molly felt triggered when Issa was going about things a certain way. Maybe at some point she did go behind Molly's back and it didn't work out well, So, yeah.
So what do you think Issa's gonna do? Like they kind of left it with her, kind of like she did go see Molly, and they're probably gonna talk whatever. But like, what do you think she's gonna do about like her personal life, her relationship? Like, what do you think is gonna be her vision?
Part of me sees her getting with Lawrence, but then
Really?
yeah, because okay, season 5 is coming up, so I had to think about the alternatives. I'm like, okay, what else? If her and Molly are about to be cool, Molly don't have no man right now. Is this about to go back to
Or
season 2
does
when
she? We didn't get an answer. We didn't get an answer, so it could be. We don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. I got the sense that Andrew was done.
Well, Latoya
He
took
needed
him
some
out, but
convincing.
we don't know.
He needed some convincing. But if Molly doesn't have a relationship any longer, and if Issa doesn't choose to go with Lawrence, what does that look like again? Season 2 whole phase? Like, I don't know. So I think you're gonna have to see Issa at least trying to make it work with Lawrence, and then it constantly be a reminder of what she can experience with him because this other woman now has that milestone. Because if he isn't a present father, he looks like a deadbeat. If she does stay with him, and if he does have a relationship, he's gonna have to have a relationship with Condola and the child. And like I said, each time he get ripped away, that's gonna be devastating to Issa, I think.
That's why she should not deal with him. I think, again, her and Nate to me seem to be more. I mean, I know he has mental illness, but people taking their medication a lot of times it's cool. So I feel like they're both kind of stepping into being their own boss and stuff like that. They still have that kind of. They kind of have a similar chemistry to her and Lawrence, but they kind of joke and laugh about stuff. She was like, there is a sexual attraction still there. So like, I feel like everything kind of fits. As far as that, he doesn't have, this baby mama out here, causing problems because Condola's gonna cause problems. Like she's going, and like I said before, I don't think she's even really pregnant. I think she's jealous that, like for example, when she kept hitting him up on that one episode, like, hey, let's meet, blah blah, and then he stayed with Issa. I think that made her mad, and I think she came up with. I mean, I think she's been mad the whole time that they broke up, and so she probably was thinking of ways to kind of get him back even before that episode.
So do you think she knows that him and Lawrence, like, do you think Condola knows that Lawrence and Issa are on? Like,
I think so. I think Lawrence may have told her the truth, but it's kind of a, low possibility. But she could have just seen them. Maybe she saw them walk because they were just walking around at the, the gallery and different stuff. So she might have even peeped them like, oh, no, they didn't. And then, got her going. But she always knew that they had something still because like even that one episode where like they were making jokes and talking at the table before Condola had came up. And I think she brought it up to Lawrence how she kind of felt a little bit insecure about them kind of like still having that,
connection,
insider connection where they make jokes, whatever. And so I think she's always kind of been insecure, about that because,
Yeah.
you know.
I think so. I think for season 5 to be a hit is going to have to be some questions. And I feel like if you don't see Condola and Lawrence anymore, it's got to be something still driving that. So I think at first it may start off with Issa contemplating trying to make it work, but I think ultimately, I hate to say it because I'm Team Lawrence and Issa all day, every day, but I think by the end of it, I feel like by the end of season 5, they're gonna have to call it quits for sure. Or like by mid season 5, it's gonna be over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I just don't see any other way. And I see Lawrence trying to convince Issa into trying to stay with him or like, be cool with this
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I hope she never gets cool with it. Because honestly, I don't even think I would pursue somebody who had like babies, you know what I'm saying? Like they're literally gonna have to be, nurturing and like raising up kids. Like the kids are not
Mm-hmm.
already, if they're already like teenagers or whatever, that's something different. But like with
Mm-hmm.
baby, like that's a lot. Like that, those first, 5,
First
6
couple
years,
weeks of her being
all
like,
of that stuff.
you
It's a
may
lot of
feel
work.
conflicted. Do I leave her by herself? Like she just had
Mm-hmm.
the baby, or
Yeah,
she is
and I
supposed
mean, and then Issa seeing what's happened to Tiffany with her postpartum, so
to.
she
Mm-hmm.
like, this whole baby thing is just way more than I probably even want to be involved with at all.
Yeah.
Like my friend literally just went off like and just lost
Yeah.
herself. And that's something I want to talk about too was about do you feel like that whole situation brought Molly into making that decision of, okay, I'm gonna try for real?
Yes, because when Derek was on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
like basically recounting or recanting like everything that's or recollecting everything that's happened with him and Tiffany, he's like, well, I tried, but maybe I should have tried harder.
Right.
Like it's one of those things when you're not in it, it's hard for you to see what like when you're in it, it's hard for you to see all the like all the mix up with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think seeing how much Issa was consoling Derek, the thing she said was so uplifting. It was like, dang, like, why wouldn't you want Issa in your friend? Like, why wouldn't you want an Issa in your friend circle? Why would you not want that? So I think to hear the things that Issa said to Derek to uplift him and be positive, Molly's like, wow, like, I'm missing out. Like, this is somebody I've kind of thrown away. I need her right now.
Right.
So Issa, like this season, her glow up has been
She's a
bomb.
glow up, and I had put that in my notes. I said, honestly, she has went from insecure to like absolutely secure. Like she's all about
So
taking
confident
chances
now.
with her career.
Yeah.
She could have walked out the apartment when Lawrence had, showed her around. But she's like, you know what? I don't want the night to end. Actually, I'm gonna stay here and, do what I
Yeah.
really want, which is to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, wow, she made all them attempts to try to get Molly back on track with her. Like, she didn't have to do that. She could have been just like Molly, like avoiding her and all this stuff. So to me,
And
like,
I'll
she
admit,
really
and
was
she
secure.
speaks up for herself more. Like even when she went over Nathan's house to help him move, and Nathan said what he said about Lawrence, she had
Right.
to hit him like, bruh, like wait a minute. She was like, well, at least he's here. He just doesn't leave and doesn't talk. So
Right.
it's like in that situation, the old Issa would have had to go into the bathroom and talk to Mirror,
Right. The mirror
to
Issa
get the
was
courage to
gone for
say things
most of
like
this
that.
season. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's true.
she's,
That's
she's
true.
really confident. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really, really, really like that about this season was like you really got to see her stop being insecure and just being who she is and being like whatever, I'm just gonna do the best I
Yeah.
can and move on. So yeah, I definitely like that.
Yes. This show was so bomb. That's how you know it's good acting and good writing when you get
But you
so
know
like
what?
caught
Issa
up in
don't
the
never
character.
cry. Issa never cries. Has she ever cried?
Yeah, she cried with her mom, Wendy Raquel Robinson.
Okay,
She cried
okay,
with her.
okay. She did. Okay.
And she cried when Molly said maybe we don't fit. She held back the tears, but she was tearing up.
Yeah, she held him back because, like, usually that's something I think that would make you. Well, I don't know if I would cry either, but something that big, it probably would make you cry. So she's strong. She showed that strength. So I was just like, okay, Issa, you
Girl,
hold your
sometimes losing
tongue.
a good
Cause that's
friendship.
something where she really could have went in on Molly, but she held her tongue. Was just like, okay, and then she went
Hmm.
on. So I was like,
Yeah, but
okay,
no, she cried. She cried at the end of season 1 when Lawrence found out that she cheated.
that's true. But did
Yeah,
she
she
cry
cried.
this? Okay, she did cry with her. Did she cry with her mom? I feel like she didn't cry with
She
her mom.
did. Her mom, she held her and she boohooed in her arms. So it's like, yeah, she's got all the good qualities. I think Molly can learn a lot from her. And I think maybe for once, Molly's like, dang, I'm learning something from Issa. She's not really
Right,
learning so much from me.
right,
She's
right.
like, man, maybe I haven't been as open and
Mm-hmm.
trying to hear her out. I can learn so much from her right now. Like, if
And
there's
too, it's
anybody that
like I think she realizes that she needs Issa more than Issa needs her.
Issa needs her. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of been hard for her to kind of wrap her head around. She's like,
I think
what?
so.
I can't believe it. But one critique I did have about this episode was the scene where, first of all, that whole, I guess, sequence really, when they were looking for Tiffany, like after they had left the house, it was just a little bit too,
Choppy or
yeah,
too,
too lighthearted, too some like I wasn't feeling it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
then even when they finally found her, like the way they found her was kind of unlikely. But okay, we can go with it. It's a comedy, whatever.
Right.
And so, but that scene where he finally finds where she is, he knocks on the door. That scene was not as powerful as like it wasn't shot
Yes.
right. It wasn't shot right, and I was just like, bro, like where are these other angles? Like honestly, I feel like we should have got stuff from Tiffany behind the door, not wanting to open the door, being like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to see
Yes.
me like this.
Yes.
I ain't got no makeup on. Like oh my gosh, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, and
Mhm.
we didn't get that, so I was like, this scene didn't
Yeah.
hit like it should have. Like they
Especially when
need
you
to go
seen
back to
Tiffany and Molly kind of like tearing up. I'm just like, well,
right,
yeah, that'd have been. I think it would have been nice if they would have shot it from Tiffany's point of view and seeing
right.
her, or do a snapshot of Tiffany in a room, just like going through it. Like maybe
Right,
just been
right.
reeling in her
Yes,
pillow or
yes,
being like, I can't do this. I can't be a
yes.
wife and a mom and together.
Right,
Like, how do I figure this
right.
out?
Yeah, it
So I
needed
think
to
they should have
be.
did more of that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
needs to be stronger. Like even the lighting and the angles was just. It was really dark, and I'm like, yo, like I was surprised because like this is a show that obviously has a budget, so I was expecting way better production value. And then just like I
Hmm.
said, like you said before, her being reluctant to open the door, maybe crying, maybe whatever. Because I mean,
Hmm.
this is a really serious situation. You have not been honest about how you feeling, you depressed. And then it's not only your man, but your friends are there. Like your reaction is gonna be different than if it was just you and your man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then maybe even having all of them kind of have like a group hug, like, girl, we got you, like whatever. Like
Yeah.
it should have been better.
It
So
should
I
have
was,
been better. Like
it should have
even
been
if
better.
Tiffany was just like opening the door and she was just like, it's
Right,
here.
because I didn't even. I mean, it was like she just took taking a shower, so that makes sense. But
Hmm.
yeah, it needed to be more emotion in that. Like Derek was kind of okay, but like yeah, it just the blocking,
Hmm.
everything needed to be kind of more dramatic. I feel because that's a very
But
serious issue.
it is, and I do feel like one thing I love about this show is I feel like last season they brought like the gentrification to the
Uh-huh.
forefront. This
Mm-hmm.
season they're bringing mental awareness, or
Right.
they're even bringing like when Tiffany had the baby and she possibly had a blood clot, like talking about how the doctors didn't listen to her. Like they've been doing a really good job of putting out there the things that women struggle, let alone maybe Black women struggle with, or just women of color in general may struggle with, where, oh, I go to the doctor and they're really not hearing my symptoms, or
Right.
I'm battling postpartum and I got to be this strong looking woman. I can't look like I don't have it together. Or
Right.
a Black man who, what do you mean you have the looks and you have the poise and you have the career? What do you mean you're battling, that you're bipolar? Like, so this stuff is real. People are battling this stuff day in and day out, and we feel like we
Yeah.
can't talk about it.
And
So,
also just the fact that postpartum, because I was reading up about it, like men, like the fathers especially first time fathers, like they experience postpartum too. Like it's not even just the women. Like, and you kind of saw it a little bit with Derek, where he was kind of like just kind of freaking out, even when he was talking to Lex at that time. You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, those are things that like you don't never really hear people talk about, but like that stuff is crazy.
But I will say, Tiffany's issue was actually forecasted way before this. It was forecasted at the block party when they had just got there, and Derek got the call that the baby wouldn't stop crying. And she was just like, "Can you go home?" She was like, I just got out the house." And she kissed him goodbye, and she was like partying. So right there, that showed you that something wasn't right. And I think Derek knew something wasn't right, but maybe he just didn't, like he said, he didn't know how to fix it.
He didn't know how to fix it. He didn't know how to fix it. So yeah. So overall, I think
it was a good episode.
It was a good episode. I still think Low Key Trying was my favorite. Probably because it was directed by
Kerry Washington.
But I just felt like the acting was better too.
Yeah,
both of them were good.
They were.
And
Mama, you already know what Mama's favorite one was.
Yeah, I know you like that. Happy, everybody's happy, but I knew it was fake because Lawrence is a liar. Lawrence, look at me, guys. Lawrence is a liar. Don't trust him. Don't trust him. We already broke her heart, but he's still lying about stuff.
No, initially, sad to say, Issa, my girl,
she probably ain't got no job in San Francisco. He probably ain't got no job in San Francisco. He probably was making all this up. This is what I think. I think Lawrence was like, "Oh, Condola's pregnant. You know, I gotta get out of here because I don't even want to be with her." But then he wanted to see what was going on with Issa. So I think they had saw each other or something. Didn't they see each other before the date? But anyways, he was like, "Let me just see what's going on with Issa. Say goodbye to her." I think he maybe was even like, "Yeah, I'm about to leave, and so I'm gonna say bye to Issa." But then he realized he started feeling for her, and he was like, "Oh shoot, now I have to figure out what I'm gonna do." And all this time, he was just getting his groove on with her, knowing that he needed to tell her what was going on. But he was just living in the moment. And then when he realized he could not keep it a secret anymore, maybe Condola was like, "I'm going to tell Issa myself." He was like, "Oh, shoot, I got to tell her first." And so he told her, and now he's like trying to figure out what he's going to do now. However, I do think Condola is lying about being pregnant, though.
I don't think she's lying, but it could go different ways. It could be Condola's lying. It could be... I don't see, like, for Lawrence to do that, like, that has to just be the most, like, scandalous thing. Like, that's just so much energy. It's too much energy. Because you got to understand, when they went out at Low Key Happy, he asked her why Daniel. He didn't say, "I have something to tell you, Condola is pregnant." Like, it wasn't like that. It was a feeling of why. Like, he wanted to get to the bottom of why.
He wanted to know why, because he wanted to leave and get out of there. But a lot of times when you leave a situation, you be happy to know why this went down. You have to like have that closure.
Girl.
That closure. But then I was thinking, maybe Issa, and I hope she doesn't do this, will be like, "Okay, I'm cool with it. We can still be together." But then in that next season, it's going to be showing the struggles of her trying to deal with baby mama drama and, you know, this relationship.
I think that's what it's going to have to be, because what else could season 5 like harvest? I don't know. Like, it's
that's what I was going to say. I forgot. It came back to me. Lawrence is 30. I think it was in season 3. I don't remember. But you remember the season? It was right after, I guess, you know, he found out that he said cheat on him. And he was just having sex with everybody. It was like 2 and 3 girls and stuff. You remember that? He was just being super wild. And so that's why I feel like I can't trust, like, something is not right.
You just have to get over it.
He went too far.
Lawrence was honestly just doing Lawrence
with them Karens. He was having sex with them Karens and stuff. I can't trust him.
Girl. I think he's just been cooped up for 5 years. He was angry, he was upset, and he was doing what a lot of men do. They soil their fruitful oats.
Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, girl.
But Nathan shot up the club on a Ferris wheel.
Yeah, they were having fun.
Okay, so he could have shot up the club. He could have got Issa pregnant too. So when you in the moment,
is Issa pregnant? Honestly, low key though, like Issa should be pregnant too because they was getting their.
Ooh, what if next season Issa's pregnant?
Extra. Like that was going in like that beginning of that one episode. I was like, dang, you talking about Condola pregnant? Somebody else might need to take a test too.
What if season 5 Issa's pregnant too? Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. That'd be drama. Like that would be a good storyline.
That's a good storyline. We should drop that to Issa Rae on her Twitter.
We should be like, girl, you get pregnant too.
I got something for you, and I think you should consider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be.
But good. Okay, we'll see. I don't know. She may be pregnant too. Be like, you pregnant? I'm pregnant. They're gonna be fighting over here.
Right, like who can get pregnant the best?
Right. Right.
But anyways, thank you so much for being on the show, girl. This is a great conversation. So definitely, those of you who are watching, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be having more, conversations about this. We're actually going to be getting into more discussions about what's going on in our country with race relations and different things. So definitely stay tuned and peace.